Right, ladies and gents, we have got to cut through the BS because most of your altcoins are not going to recover. And we've been 100% correct about all of this for a very, very long time. Here are a couple of trades to prove that. We've got my Bitcoin position right here sitting in over 2,500% profit and my TRX position above 1,000. Sometimes people are worried that this is like a screenshot, but there you go. That kind of proves that it's not. And the reason that this is all a really big deal is that we've been 100% correct about the altcoin stuff for a long time. Here's Bitcoin's dominance over the last 2 years where we've correctly predicted every single move. And in this video, I'm actually going to be telling you, and by the way, this is a big deal because that represents hundreds of billions of dollars being wiped out in this market. I'm going to be telling you which coins I think are going to be recovering. And this is going to be based on a very carefully created 5-point checklist, which I'm going to be telling you about shortly. And I'm also going to be telling you how I plan on trading each of these coins, which I think is very, very exciting. We're going to be looking at the exact entries I'm taking, the reasonings for them. I'm currently in 2 of these really big trades that I've already told you about. And if you're looking to trade these markets like me, I'm doing it on Bybit and Blowfin, which are 2 of the best platforms in the game. But what's much more important than them being a good platform is that you get a ton of free money when you start trading using these platforms. Bybit's going to give you up to $30,000 for free, and that is money you can throw back into the market. So if you make any profits, you get to withdraw that money. That's yours to keep. And Blowfin is giving you much more aggressive offers than that even. So it's really well worth checking them out if you want to add a little bit more trading capital to what you're playing with here, just so that you can get to your financial goals a little bit faster. But only do it if you're allowed to, if you're not from a restricted region. And if we bring it back to the video here, we're also going to be looking at that particular 5-point checklist, like I mentioned. But the first thing we really need to tackle is where all of this money is going to be made, right? And we understand that Bitcoin's dominance is going to be the most important thing for altcoins to recover. And that's why we start here. This Bitcoin dominance chart tells us when you can make money in the altcoin market, because if Bitcoin is losing power inside of an excited market, inside of a bull market, then it means that money is going out of Bitcoin and into altcoins. And obviously, we understand how big Bitcoin is, right? Take a look at this. This is the market cap of everything in the whole world. Gold, all of the gold ounces in the whole world, if you add them all up, are worth $18 trillion. But for Bitcoin, that number is $1.5 trillion, which is not that far away, right? Bitcoin's not that far away. It's only a 12 times gain away. And so we're looking at a very, very strong Bitcoin. And so a lot of this, if just a little bit of this value, $100 billion even, not that much, call it $300 billion. If it moves out of Bitcoin and into altcoins, you're going to see a big explosion here where the Bitcoin dominance drops down massively and your altcoins start gaining quite heavily. And so that's one of the big things that really tips it. But even when that happens, not all altcoins are going to recover. Right? Most of them are not going to recover, and most of them haven't recovered from previous cycles. And so it's really important to make sure that we're choosing the right ones. And what we're also going to be doing in this video is analyzing Ethereum specifically. We're going to be covering a lot of different altcoins. We're looking at Cardano, we're looking at Solana, we're looking at Doge, we're looking at Pepe, and all of the other big altcoins, Binance Coin. Today, we're going to start off with Ethereum, but this is going to be a multi-part series. So you need to make sure that you're subscribed and that you've smashed up that like button. And you're going to see a link in the description, top comment everywhere, to watch this as a playlist where you can watch my analysis of every single one of these coins in depth. We're going to be going very, very in depth against this checklist. And I think it's a great time to start talking about this checklist here and really kind of running you through it before we get deeper into the intricacies here. And the first one, it's very straightforward. We've actually already touched on it. It's that we need to have a bull market, right? We need some sort of a bull market. And that's because it's the best reason for altcoins to go up. Ultimately, what we need to understand about altcoins, and like I said, we're cutting through the BS in this video, ladies and gents. That's what you come to this YouTube channel for. Most altcoins are full of shit. Most projects are full of shit. Most people are full of shit. But certainly in crypto, there's not a lot of actual real utility or real projects kind of going around right now. And so the only environment where these things can catch wings and move is in a very bullish environment. And the reason for that is very straightforward. If everything is bullish, that means everybody is making money. And if everybody is making money, everybody is feeling greedy, and then they want to make more money. So naturally, they take on more risk. So best case scenario for an altcoin is a very happy, euphoric market. Because when you get that, you get a really easy environment for coins to start moving up. We're seeing it today. Bitcoin's pumping up, Bitcoin's setting an all-time high. Suddenly all of the altcoins want to play, right? So we see this all the time. But that's just number one. It's a prerequisite. Number two, this one's interesting. It's developer activity, okay? Without the devs actually working and putting in effort, nothing is going to work. And a great example of this is Uniswap, right? Or Ethereum, or a lot of the other majors that are still around with a good standing right now. They're putting up a good fight. They have active devs, but they're still nowhere near a recovery. Uniswap is still really far away. In fact, if we take a quick look at it, we're teasing this a little bit because we're going to go into this in the series. And I'm so excited for this because this is so tradable, what we're looking at here. There's going to be so much money that I'm planning on making here. I mean, it might go wrong, but I'm looking at it going that way. You know, and that's what's getting me really pumped up for these, you know, for the playlist that you're going to be watching here. And by the way, you can watch this video on a playlist. Go ahead and pause the video now. Check that link out. And it's just going to start the video back up on the same timestamp here at 6 minutes. And then you can watch this as a playlist and just kind of sit back. It's all going to kind of happen for you. And by the end of the next 2 hours, you're going to really know everything you need to know about altcoins for the next little bit. But it's still, look, it's nowhere near recovering. We're on the logarithmic chart and it's 400% away, right? So this is an example of a coin that does have good developer activity. Number three, and this one, you know, you're going to start to see me getting a little bit of hate for this, but it is what it is. Coins need to have a good use case. You see, Ethereum, for example, never died because it's useful, right? You might argue that it's useful for stupid stuff, but at least it's useful for something. And at least, most importantly, people are using it for that something. But another example, a negative one, is Phil, right? Phil is used for data management, but there are a million other better products for that. And as a result, we're rightly seeing Phil as a coin dying. That's number three. Number four, we need to see community engagement. Community engagement's a really big deal. Doge is a total shitcoin, meme coin, which has existed, by the way, since before I traded crypto, which has been over 7 years. And yet somehow it's still standing. And not only is it standing, it's doing very well with Elon Musk now being in the White House, apparently, and stuff like that. It's doing very, very well. But a big part of Doge's success is that it's maintained the community across its entire life cycle so far. Dash is an example. You guys don't even know what Dash is. Let me know if you know what Dash is in the comment section. Dash is an example of a coin that gained a lot of popularity. A lot of people loved it. It had a good community, and then suddenly it died and it all went and there was nothing left anymore. And since then, it's been years. It's been like 3-4 years. No one's heard anything about Dash. Since then, it's just fallen off the face of the planet. So you need to have a very active community there as well. And moving on, number 5 is marketing. All right, hype is what really matters in the end. We're not worried about things with Ethereum or Bitcoin's dominance or anything else. Marketing is going to be one of the most important things. And this is going to vary from coin to coin, right? Certain coins like Ethereum don't really need that much marketing. But a coin like WIF, Dog With Hat, pumped 2,000% for no reason in February of this year, right? And that's happening purely because of marketing. So we're talking about, you know, whether it's influencers or it's just a shitload of people driving up hype in their Discord group or whatever it is, maybe a combination. That's going to be an important factor because different teams are better at different things. Different people are connected to different people. And so marketing makes a big difference. And then finally, my favorite, TA, all right? We need to see how the coin is doing right now and what the macro outlook looks like. That's going to heavily influence which coins look like they can recover, and most importantly, which coins are worth taking risk on. Because a lot of coins might recover, but they might not recover as well as other coins, and they might not recover as quickly, and they might not recover at the same time. And each of those things are going to be a problem as time goes on. So we're going to be looking at the charts as well, and that's how we're going to be applying this to every single coin in this series. I'm so excited. And for example, I mean, Ethereum is doing incredibly well right now. Ethereum is obviously, I'm going to spoil it, Ethereum is obviously one of the coins which I firmly believe are going to make not only a full recovery, but I think it's going to substantially rise above that. And look at how it's behaving right now. It's already getting above some of its macro resistance levels. It's already got a great community and so on, right? There's a lot of factors that are going very much in Ethereum's favor here. And so that puts Ethereum in a very, very good place. And again, the reason that I think all of this is a big deal is if we really look at how significant these moves are going to be, it just becomes a different conversation. We can take a look at this with Bitcoin's dominance for me to really show you what this means. And I think that this is going to really make a big impression on you here. So get your notepad out if you're the kind of person that likes to take notes. But here we saw Bitcoin's dominance top out at 73%, which, by the way, is where I think we might be going. I'll get to that in just a second. And then we saw Bitcoin's dominance drop by 33 points here, and it only took about 4 months. But these 4 months recovered some of the greatest, this represented some of the greatest upside ever in crypto. And I want to show you that, right? So this kind of starts off January of 2021 and it ends kind of May of 2021 where the Bitcoin dominance stops going up. And if we just take, we just take a random coin, let's just take Matic as an example, or in fact, let's take Solana because it's at the top of my list. And if we look at Solana at the same time, look at this, very beginning of 2021, this is literally exactly where things got crazy. And then May of, Solana was uniquely strong because Solana just kept on doing very well. But if we look at Solana, in terms of percentage gain, that's a 3,300% gain, right? From there to get to its all-time high, it only went up by 500%. So most of the profit happened during this phase. And what's most important is that happened during this big drop for Bitcoin's dominance. And so that's what we're really focusing on, right? The rest of these videos in the series, we're going to be looking at specific altcoins and checking them against the checklist here. So just make sure that you have opened that playlist if you want to watch it. But this video, we're focusing on what's actually going to get us there in the first place, right? Before we can even look at those altcoins. And so what we really need to understand is that until Bitcoin's dominance is ready to reverse, we're not going to get an alt season. Today and yesterday, we've seen a small reversal on Bitcoin, and 2 days ago, we've seen a small reversal on Bitcoin's dominance where it started to move down. And accordingly, we've seen Ethereum gain a lot of strength. Look at Ethereum against Bitcoin here. This is going to be a big thing that we're going to be looking at over the next videos here, is the Bitcoin chart. Because the Bitcoin chart tells us a lot about what these altcoins are doing and how strong they are compared to Bitcoin. And we're seeing a horrific downtrend here for Ethereum right now. Just a huge downtrend here where Ethereum was trading at 0.9 BTC per token, and it's now come all the way down to 0.35, which is, just a huge drop. It needs to nearly triple to get back up there. It needs to pull a 2.5 times gain to get back up there right now from its low. And so right now we're seeing this nice spike here on Ethereum against Bitcoin, but obviously this is just a symptom of Bitcoin's dominance coming down for a little bit, right? And so what we've seen across this market, and we're looking at Ethereum just because it's the biggest altcoin, so it represents the rest of the altcoins, and it also, there's a very clear flow of funds which we really need to understand, which is, and again, we've already kind of looked at it, which is that money goes from Bitcoin into Ethereum, into the large caps, and then into altcoins and meme coins and so on, right? That's typically the kind of flow of money. But it's the same flow of money that we see everywhere, right? If you look at traditional finance, we get the same flow of money where when the traditional finance indices are doing well, like the S&P 500, if the big index is doing well and you're getting rich and you're feeling good, then you want to take on more risk and you want to make more money. So you start going into Tesla stock, and then you take more risk. And so you start going into even more risky stocks and so on. But the same thing happens in crypto, right? You make money in the safe place, meaning Bitcoin, and now you want to trade on Ethereum. And you make money on Ethereum, so you want to trade in Cardano and Solana, and you want to take even more risk to make even more money. And so we really understand that, and that's what we're kind of revolving this around, because it's just basic psychology, which again is all that trading actually is anyway. And really all we've seen so far with Ethereum being a beautiful representation of these markets is a very long-term downtrend, which has been characterized with some, spikes upwards, right? And sometimes these spikes are pretty extreme and they're also pretty fast. Sometimes they're pretty lackluster and they're pretty slow. But for the most part, we've been trending down with, different shapes and sizes of kind of, corrective price action moving upwards. And we're in one right now, which just looks so typical, just like so many of the other instances where we got a big flash pump. And I think what makes this one all the more interesting, especially right now at the time of you watching this video in this series, is that we're getting this as we approach a macro zone of resistance. There are a lot of people that are already starting to celebrate this super small up move in the altcoin market. And it is small, right? You might be positioned in Solana being really happy about your $200 Solana coin right now. But this is small, right? Even Solana itself is going to do significantly better than this moving forward. I'm sure of it. And so what we're seeing right now, this is just kind of setup mode, right? We're not actually playing yet. The game hasn't even started yet. We're just getting set up. We're making sure we're in the right position. We're making sure that we're positioned properly. That's the most important thing. And so when we can understand that, Ethereum is facing some macro resistance here, to me, that strongly indicates that this is going to turn into another rejection that leads potentially back into some deeper macro support zones where Ethereum can then start to really properly, truly gain strength against Bitcoin, because I just don't think that we're there yet. And so if we bring it back to the Bitcoin dominance chart now, I think that clearly tells us that we could be heading significantly higher. We've had a lot of people saying that, Bitcoin's dominance was kind of running out of steam over here, to me as well, and we've been acknowledging that on this YouTube channel. I've been telling you why I don't believe that's the case. And I still think that Bitcoin's dominance has a long way to go for one big reason. And the big reason is that typically we don't see Bitcoin's dominance reversing until Bitcoin is in a late stage of a bull market. This is a really big deal that we really need to understand very carefully, and I'm going to show you some data to prove this. But just in a second here, I want to repeat that. We don't typically see Bitcoin's dominance coming down until we're in a late stage of a bull market, okay? And the reason for that is because people are not interested in taking on excessive risk until they've already made money, and until the market reaches euphoria, and until Bitcoin starts becoming a little bit less interesting. And so all of those things happen in a later stage of a bull market, and so it's very obvious why we see Bitcoin's dominance come down later on. And I think that's a really, really big deal for you and I to talk about here, because most people have no idea what the fuck's going on, and they just go around the market like complete idiots. But now you and I, we've discussed so much theory here in these 15 minutes that you're going to be completely ready to jump into these altcoin videos now and really start taking advantage of trading opportunities. Like I said, we're going to be starting with Ethereum, which is going to be arguably most interesting, but the others are really, really cool too. The biggest opportunities, by the way, they're not on Ethereum. They're on the other, the next altcoin videos that you haven't actually seen yet. And all of that, I think, all goes to say and all goes to show that, Bitcoin's dominance comes down when certain factors have been reached, and we're not quite there yet. Now, let me show this to you again with this big, drop in Bitcoin's dominance. When Bitcoin's dominance reached here in January of 2021, that's when we saw it start to drop very aggressively, very, very quickly. That's when all of the money came into the altcoin market. But if we take a look at Bitcoin itself at this time, again, we're looking at January 21 up until May of 2021. And what we had on this occasion here, if we just go ahead and kind of put a couple of lines down here. So this is, let me show you, this is January of 2021 and May of 2021, right? So this is kind of where a lot of the really, really nice uptrend happens for Bitcoin. Before that is where the big move happened, but this is where the big dollar moves happen, right? And that's a big difference that we're going to be talking about in just a second here. If we bring it back to Bitcoin's dominance chart, we can actually observe that a lot of this move up for Bitcoin's dominance started around kind of August, September of 2020. And again, the reason that that's a big deal is if we bring it back to the Bitcoin chart and put another vertical line down there, kind of August, September, it's so clear what we're seeing, ladies and gents. In fact, I'm going to bring these charts side by side just so that you can really, really understand exactly what we're talking about here, ladies and gents, because it's so important. Take a look at this. We got the same thing here now on both charts. And what we can really get a clear sense of understanding, a clear sense of appreciation for right now is that, when Bitcoin's dominance starts to really trend up, that oftentimes is going to coincide with a big Bitcoin move. Look at how aggressively Bitcoin is moving up while Bitcoin's dominance is increasing here, right? So kind of in this case, at the beginning of this, increase in Bitcoin's dominance, we're getting a huge increase in price. And that's where we are right now. We're currently doing that right now in 2024. Currently, Bitcoin is aggressively trending up, albeit much slower than before, but it's still aggressive. It's aggressively trending up right now. And Bitcoin's dominance is going up as well. Okay, and again, the reason we're seeing that is very straightforward. Number one, Bitcoin's very interesting. Number two, altcoins are comparatively less interesting. And it's a vicious cycle, right? Because if altcoins are not performing well, then people aren't going to buy them. And more importantly, people are going to sell them. And if they're being sold, then they're not going to perform well. So people are going to sell them. And it just feeds into itself and it becomes a loop. And that's why we see Bitcoin's dominance going up at times like this. We might still see altcoins gaining value against the dollar, but they won't gain as quickly as Bitcoin. And so you're just going to make more money in Bitcoin at stages like this. And that's what we see at these early stages of the bull market. But if we bring it back here to this chart, what's so interesting about this is that most of the move happens here, right? This is $9,000 up to, you know, basically $40,000 here. That's a 300% move, a $32,000 gain. But if we compare this kind of, you know, to the next high, it's only a 100% move. It's the same $30,000 gain, but it's only a 100% move. And this slow down, like where Bitcoin starts to kind of slow down, which literally obviously happens here at this green line, it starts slowing down here and it stops slowing down here. It happens entirely while Bitcoin's dominance is crashing, right? When Bitcoin's dominance stops crashing, which happens at about over here, that is basically where Bitcoin starts moving aggressively again. And in this case, unfortunately, Bitcoin is moving down. But we're not worried about direction right now. We're just talking about aggression, right? It's not about up or down. It's just aggression. Is it aggressively going up or is it aggressively going down? We don't care about whether or not it's up or down, just if it's aggressive. And clearly, the big aggression happens while Bitcoin's dominance is going up. And then when Bitcoin starts to taper off, when Bitcoin starts to cool down, when Bitcoin starts to top out, when we're in the late stage of a bull market, when things are starting to cool off a little bit, when Bitcoin itself is less interesting, that's when we see the dominance start dropping. And that's when you and I get to start making money on the altcoins. And the final big idea that I need to round off before we dive into those altcoins now is the amount of money that was generated during this big drop in Bitcoin's dominance, right? This big drop that we're seeing right here for Bitcoin's dominance represented ridiculous growth for people in this industry. And I want to show you that by basically just looking at Total 3. Total 3 is a great chart to just visualize altcoins only. It's basically the market cap of crypto excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And if we take a look at this here, we zoom out a little bit and take a look at this in 2021, all I want to do is I just want to drop a vertical line where Bitcoin's dominance peaked, which happened here, and where Bitcoin's dominance bottomed, which happened here. And clearly, it's just cyclical, right? Originally, you know, previously before this, all over here, Bitcoin was the star of the show. Then altcoins took it. And, you know, just in terms of percent gain, that is a 600% gain for altcoins, or in other words, $800 billion in value gain for altcoins. And by the way, that only took about 4 months. So, you know, we're not talking about small money, and we're also not talking about a long period of time. This is big money. This is ridiculously large money. I mean, imagine if you're just holding 1% of that, that's $8 billion, right? If you got 0.1%, 0.01%, it doesn't fucking matter. It's a big number no matter how you slice it. That's a lot of money, but it's happening ridiculously quickly. That's the number one most important thing that we need to understand about this, is that if we get to play this properly, I anticipate that it's going to be significantly bigger this time. Bitcoin's dominance is bigger. Well, it's not bigger yet, but it could get bigger, but it's very, very high. But most importantly, Bitcoin's market cap is bigger. Bitcoin's market cap is enormous right now. We've already compared it against gold, so we know how big it is. And, you know, comparing it to other, you know, major companies in the world, we know that Nvidia, we know that Apple are a big deal. Look at how far behind Bitcoin is from these companies, right? It's only a 2x away, which is obviously going to happen. Bitcoin's obviously going to hit 140K, I believe, anyway. I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but I believe that to be the case. And so we're really not far away from even catching up with a lot of these, you know, really big companies here at this stage. And so, yeah, absolutely, ladies and gents, I think that we're going to be getting a much better rally on altcoins this time. And I also think it can happen very quickly. So that just underscores the importance of this video and the videos that are going to be coming next. So if you're looking forward to all of that, I've done enough teasing. Check out that playlist if you haven't done so already. If you have done so, it's just going to autoplay right after this one. And before I leave you, if you want to trade these coins in the same places that I'm trading them on, and more importantly, if you want to get paid for it, then check out these links in the description. They're going to give you free money to trade. The reason they do this, by the way, some people are curious, like, how can exchanges give you so much money? Look, they make a lot of money off you, right? They make a lot of money off you. They make a lot of money off everybody. They collect data. There's a shitload of ways exchanges make data. There's a lot of different ways they make money that you don't even see. And so they have money to spend. And because of that, they're all super competitive. They're all hyper competitive trying to get your business. So they can afford to dish out this money. And that's exactly what they do. So when you check out those links and you start trading, you'll get the free money. You can trade with it. You can withdraw the profits you make from it as well. But you can only do all of that if you follow the links in the description and if you're not from a restricted region. So that's all going to be super important. But with that, ladies and gents, I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. You know exactly what to have if you have appreciated this no BS content. Smash up the likes, double check that you're subscribed, double check that you've checked out that bell icon as well. And I will see you all in the playlist. Cheers.